guys, welcome to the Grand Geek Eatery. I'm your host, Chef E. Gray, and I've been a pastry chef for almost 10 years now, and a nerd for even longer. On this show, I thought I'd bring together two things I'm passionate about, baking and all things nerdy. For our first recipe, we're going to make for you sugar cookie Infinity Gauntlets. The ingredients you'll need are the following: 1 1/4 cup of unsalted room temperature butter, 1 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar, 1 room temperature egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a pinch of salt, a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 lemon, and some yellow food coloring. And for the Infinity Stones, we're going to use Jelly Ranchers. It's not safe to go at it alone, so you'll need cookie cutter or stencil, 1 microplane, rolling pin, cutting board or strong surface, baking sheet, parchment paper or silicone baking mat, Ziploc bag, mallet, and mixer with a paddle attachment. If you don't have a tabletop mixer, you can also use a hand mixer. Just make sure you have the paddle attachments. Start your recipe by adding your unsalted room temperature butter. After we add our butter, we're gonna add in our 1 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar. Make sure our mixer is locked, and we're gonna mix this on high speed. After about 3 minutes, you wanna make sure that your sugar and butter is a nice creamy, white, and fluffy texture. Just using my paddle, I'm gonna scrape down the side of my bowl. You can use a spatula if you'd like, but luckily for me, my mixer has a scraper on it. So I'm gonna attach this back on, lock it back in, and the next thing we're gonna add is 1 egg and vanilla extract on low. That was a double yolk. Lucky us. Make sure to mix this until it's all one consistent texture, or, as we like to say, homogeneous. And now we're gonna add our dry ingredients. Make sure they're sifted and that you add it in 3 portions. This you can just eyeball because it's not really that important how much flour goes in at a time. On another note, make sure to keep your mixer down on low, otherwise you're gonna get splashed in the face with a bunch of flour. Next thing I'm gonna add is yellow food coloring dye to give those Infinity Gauntlet cookies a nice color. Right now I'm just gonna add about 4 drops. We'll add a couple more after we fold in the color to make sure it's the right hue. After we're done, we're gonna want this to be a nice gold yellow color. Looks like I'm gonna need about 3 more drops. Now that our dough is nice and yellow, I'm just gonna add a little touch of lemon for a little flavor. I'm using a microplane to zest this. You can get one of these at any of your local cooking stores or even a Safeway. The trick to a good zest is doing 1 stiff motion in one direction and doing it a lighter direction when you're pulling up. Otherwise, you can bend your microplane. So you want a good amount of zest on there, because the more zest you have, the more flavor it's gonna have. I like to do about a tablespoon worth. Make sure to mix in all your zest until it's completely incorporated, or as we said earlier, homogeneous. I didn't mention this before, but you'll probably need some plastic wrap to put your cookie dough in. If you don't have plastic wrap, you could also use a gallon Ziploc bag, or you can use parchment paper or wax paper to store it in overnight. If you're in a hurry and you need to cook and you need these cookies in one day, you'll need to chill this dough for about 1 to 2 hours, or until it's nice and stiff. Here's my dough. It's been 24 hours, and I've been letting this sit out for the last 5 minutes outside of the refrigerator. First thing I'm gonna do is set this off to the side and flour my surface. I let the dough sit for 24 hours because after it's been baking in the oven, it gives it a better shape and consistency and a better quality cookie after it's all finished. But if you only have time to chill it for 1 to 2 hours, that should work out just fine too. So I preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I floured my surface, I've got my dough unwrapped and ready to roll out. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of loosen the dough with my hands a bit, whatever strength you can use in your hands to get it a little bit flatter. Now that my dough is about 1 inch thickness, I'm going to use the rolling pin to roll it out to a 1/4 inch thickness. As I roll the dough, I like to rotate it to keep it a nice rectangular shape. Now we cut the cookies. I'm using a cookie cutter, but you can use a stencil, or if the force is with you, you can freehand. So I'm going to dust my cookie cutter to prevent any sticking. As I cut the cookies, I like to pull the outer dough away because I find it easier. Just a personal preference. Now that our cookies are cut, you're going to put them in your freezer for about 5 minutes. While the cookies are in the freezer, I'm going to clean my station. While I clean my station, we're going to go over what I like to call a little nerd note. In 1972, the Infinity Stones had their first appearance as the Soul Gems. Then, in 1990, Thanos got a hold of those Soul Gems and called them the Infinity Gems. Afterwards, he put them in the Infinity Gauntlet and tried to use them to annihilate half the universe's population as a gift to his love, death. Later on in the MCU, they called them the Infinity Stones, which, as you know now, is canon. These are out of the freezer. It's been 5 minutes. Now I'm gonna add the rest of my decoration and do the last bit of cutting. For the Infinity Stones, I'm gonna use these piping tips to cut the holes because they have a nice small hole, and it's gonna be hard for me to find the right size using something else. But if you do want to improvise and you happen to have straws at home, those will work great too. First, I'm gonna start with the knuckles. I'm gonna take my cutter that is lightly doused in flour and use this to make the holes. Now I'm gonna cut out the last hole right in the center of the fist. Now I'm using the back side of my piping tip. Our cookies are ready. Now comes the fun part. You get to collect the Infinity Stones. Luckily, you won't have to kill your daughter for it. Earlier today, I took a Ziploc bag, put my Jolly Ranchers in the Ziploc bag, and crushed them with a rubber mallet in my backyard, just to keep safe. You want to fill these holes with the Jolly Ranchers. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in order of the colors. There's a pandemic going on right now, so I'm just using what colors I have. I could only find tropical Jolly Ranchers, which luckily has most of the colors I need. I didn't have a sixth color, so I took all of the Jolly Rancher colors, put them in a bag, and used those for the center. Our cookies are finished. I put mine on a Silpat because I'm using sugar and it's gonna come off a lot easier after it's done baking because of this safe silicone mat. I'm gonna put this in my oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Center wrap, and we're gonna start with 6 minutes. It's been 6 minutes. Now I'm gonna take my cookies out and rotate them. Add an additional 6 minutes. And the reason we do this is so that they bake more consistently and have a more even color. I'm so happy how these turned out. And the best part is they kind of smell like Fruit Loops. Now comes everybody's favorite part, the taste test. I'm glad I didn't put too much candy in there. Otherwise, I probably would have broken a tooth. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on the Grand Geek Eatery.